Hello everyone, welcome to your virtual classroom. So this video is for those of you who have not gone over value yet. So some of us may have already done the worksheet that I attached to this lesson, but if you haven't, this is what I would like for you to work on this week. So if you noticed, you can either print out the worksheet or you can just draw everything yourself. So I have 3 boxes over here. I don't have a printer, so I'm not going to do that. The boxes do not have to be perfect. Just make 3 rectangles with 3 boxes inside of those rectangles. And then if you notice, there's a circle on the side of each of those boxes. So what I want to talk about is 3 different types of rendering. Rendering is just a fancy word for shading. So creating value. So if you would like to, grab 3 different colored pencils and you're going to treat each row as its own type of rendering. So first, I want you to write up here scumble. So that is S-C-U-M-B-L-E. And scumbling is just scribbling, basically. So you are going to make a value scale first. So you're going to do a dark version of your color, a medium version of your color, and a light version of your color. So just watch how I scumble first, and then you can go ahead and do it yourself. So it's really just scribbling. So if you're wanting to go darker, you'll want to press a little bit harder with your pencil and layer your lines over one another a bit more. There's my dark shade, here's my medium shade, so I'm going to go a little bit lighter with my pencil and layer it just a bit less. So you can tell this is darker than this one. So I want to see that there is a difference in the value of these boxes. So now for my light, I'm going to press the lightest and I'm going to space my scumbling out a bit more. Okay. Now these circles over here, you are going to turn them into 3-dimensional objects by shading with the type of rendering that you have in each row. So the first thing you want to do is, I'll map this out for you first, and I will share with you a little map of how we need to shade a sphere. So first, you make a little circle at the very top of your sphere. That's going to be your highlight. Then we've got middle tones. So it should get lightest here. Basically there's no hue there. And then it gets darker and darker and darker until you've got your shadow. And you also have a cast shadow. So I'm not even going to shade inside of that circle that I created, but I'm going to go really, really light with my pencil. I'm using this value here, the lightest value. And as I go further down into the midtones, I'm going to start pressing a bit harder, getting a bit closer, overlapping. And you can always go back and kind of blend it out a little bit. Make it so it's a gradual transition. I want to see more of like a gradient. So now I'm getting into my shadow area, so I want to press the hardest and I want to overlap the most. Try and curve your value too, so like if you notice I've been going around this way, around this way, around this way. to give it more of a three-dimensional look, like we're following the curve of the 3D sphere. Okay, now for your cast shadow, it's going to start out the darkest as it's closer and closer to your sphere, and you're going to get lighter as you go out. And there you have it. The next version of rendering I'd like you to write out is cross-hatching. So this is the easy one. So you start with parallel lines going in one direction. And because this is going to be my darkest value, I want to add as many as I can, press as hard as I can. And then you're going to make parallel lines going in the opposite direction. So I made diagonal lines. That's going to be my darkest hue. Now for my medium one. And then for my lightest one, I'm going to keep them the most distance apart. I'm going to draw the lightest. So same thing for this one. You want to draw your little circle, more like an oval. And then kind of just map out where your shadow's going to be and your cast shadow. And for this one, I'm just going to go diagonal lines. So lastly, we're going to talk about smooth shading. So smooth shading, you're just going in one direction. And it all depends on the weight that you're putting on your pencil. So if I want to make my darkest hue, I might do a couple layers, but I'm only going in one direction back and forth. And it's easiest if you use the side of your pencil so that you can cover the most ground. Okay, now with my lighter shade, I'm just going to go a bit lighter with my pencil. And then for my lightest shade, applying the least amount of pressure. And there you go. All right, same thing, we're going to map out our sphere shades. And we're going to start with the lightest shade. So I'd like to see you going in one direction. You can kind of curve your shading though a little bit with the sphere to make it trick the eye a little bit more. So I'm still just going in with my lightest shade because I can always layer the pencil. So if you notice, I'm not going this way now. I'm always kind of staying in the same direction because you want it to look smooth. If I started shading in the opposite direction, it wouldn't look as smooth. So this is going to be your most realistic way of shading. Okay, and that's it. So next week we'll be working a bit more with shading, but I will introduce that when the time comes. See you then!